Welcome to Metatech Podcast, the community of experts for the Metaverse, Web 3.0, and NFTs. Learn and be inspired by top industry leaders with your host, Ricardo Carrion. Together, we are building the Internet of Tomorrow.
Welcome, everybody. This is Ricardo Carrion, and I'm your host for the Metatech Podcast. My co-host, Gwen Supergirl, is here with me. And today we have a very special guest. We have Adam Roosevelt, from Dubai, and he's going to tell us all about him and all about his projects and what he's building in the space. Welcome, Adam.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Adam. Let's start first with a little bit about you. Our audience like to know about the people that are actually building in the space. So tell us a little bit about you, how you started in the space, and what was your journey there.
Sure. So first, I want to really appreciate the fact that you all invited me to this podcast and the audience for listening. Let me first start by saying I started my career in tech from the U.S. military side and working with the Department of Defense, not just in the domestic theater, but also overseas in combat. So understanding the foundation of the information technology ecosystem, how we operate in warfare, and then effectively moving to the commercial space and building out applications for national security solutions and building out applications that serve the economic purpose of the United States. From the military, there are a lot of lessons learned in terms of IT, cyber, infrastructure, defense, innovation. So being able to represent those topics effectively as a senior leader and then talk about the future of technology has really been my career focus. I've worked with many agencies in the intelligence community. I've worked with the Defense Innovation Unit. I've worked with Silicon. I've worked with the intelligence enterprise, the Central Intelligence Agency. So I've seen a lot of different use cases around the world. And then effectively, I was battle tested in the environment of Afghanistan. So with all this knowledge, I moved over to the Emirates. And in the Emirates, as being a vast ecosystem, adopting rapid technology for a variety of different use cases, whether it be in construction, whether it be in the Metaverse, Web 3.0, and now as the CEO of the Adnan Al Nourani group of companies, I also hold multiple positions in other companies around the world. Our firm holds 19 share positions in multiple locations. So we've got 22 offices globally, and we are heavily involved in the public and private sector. And today, I think the big focus is just to understand the importance of technology, where Dubai, where the UAE is heading toward in terms of innovation, and how we contribute to the Dubai image, and also bring in the new technology from global players around the world. So I'm excited to be here and unpackage this topic specifically, but that's just a very quick summation of my background.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Wendy, you have any questions for Adam?
No, that is a very impressive career. So congratulations for that. And because of that, now that you have such a big background around you, I would like to ask a little bit about the metaverse. How would you define to someone that is new into the space, what is the metaverse? How would you define what is a metaverse?
Well, first, I will say that there's been a couple of events throughout history. We had the dot-com boom, and that served the purpose for rapid technology adoption. Now, as we talk about metaverse, it's really about the connectivity of people, being able to engage in a virtual environment, and for a variety of different reasons, for concerts and music and entertainment. This is now moving toward virtual reality and artificial reality. And these type of environments provide the human race an environment where they can collaborate, they can communicate, they can connect. And it's now the next generation that will be the future of tech. So we've looked at the internet, but the question is, where can we go beyond the internet, what it is today? And the next phase of that digital transformation, that innovative push forward, is the metaverse and being able to adopt technology for the purposes of connecting people for a variety of different purposes for very specific industry use cases. But it's all about global connectivity and enhancing the user and customer experience.
Yeah. So Adam, your company is focused a lot in cybersecurity, right? And how do you see the challenges presented to cybersecurity with all these new technologies coming into play with Web3, with blockchain, with artificial intelligence? You know,
The metaverse.
yeah, exactly. Our the hackers are going to be accessing, pools of information in IA, and maybe the code to crack and invade the system is there, easily available to anybody with just a prompt.
Yeah, well, I think we all have come from some form of an information technology background, and that has evolved to be the Internet of Things and cybersecurity and the ecosystem. And I will just say that traditional cybersecurity does apply in this conversation, but this is a new form of security now. The threat vectors are different. We've got different things that we're planning to defend against. We've got smart contracts. We've got infrastructure that could be attacked from DDoS attacks. That's still very traditional from the cyber network side, but there's a tremendous amount of new vectors that are effectively vulnerable, specifically in this new space, blockchain. So, I can highlight a variety of different use cases that we are currently providing additional security measures to limit those particular impacts to this blockchain environment. Now, the myth is that this environment cannot be hacked, but the truth is there's a tremendous amount of issues specifically, and I'll just highlight a few that I think is quite interesting.
Yes, please go ahead. It's very interesting.
Because like you look at the public blockchain 1.0, there's a tremendous amount of threat vectors there and general risk. For example, the double spending piece, the 51% attack on Goldfinger. We're looking at talking about the private key security, but again, these are still vectors that could be compromised. Now, if I talk about the network level attacks, traditionally, you all are very familiar with that, so I won't bore you to death. But as we look at even private blockchain 3.0, we've got pluggable programming language bugs that are being compromised. We've got security problems in code injection. We've got private blockchain 3.0, which is poor network design. So this decentralized environment is important, but at the same time, there's a tremendous amount of threat vectors. And I'm looking at, the smart contracts and how those are being compromised. And the code to deploy those smart contracts are being attacked specifically and focused on. There's still privacy issues. There's even collaboration amongst these blockchain miners. Okay, so as we look at this new industry, we've got to stay ahead of the evolution of the technology, because even the policy from a governmental perspective hasn't even caught up to the advanced technology. But the black hats are always on front in terms of the front lines to make sure that they can exploit these vulnerabilities. But this is just kind of an example of a few things that I think are critical to watch out for as we do rapid adoption of technology.
Yeah. So from what you're saying, it's like, I'm sorry, Wendy, I'll let you go in the next one. So what you're saying is that it's not that it's unhackable, but it's that it presents its own risks. And combined with the traditional risk or the risks that are introduced by other technologies, you'll have new combinations that are, maybe we haven't even thought about it. So we have not created the mechanisms to defend ourselves.
Yeah, and let me add another point that I think is very useful for this industry. So look at the workforce today, and as we adopt new industries, as we stand up new industries, who's trained on the front lines to configure blockchain? Who's trained to be involved in blockchain legal? Who's trained to be involved in blockchain cyber? I'm now part of a academy which we've launched in Chennai, India, as well as in Dubai. It's called the First Academy of Blockchain Council, and the focus of that entire organization is to train the workforce to be able to enter into the industry. Because as we talk construction, there will be blockchain applications. Blockchain use cases. As we talk energy, there will be energy use cases. And if you remember this, in the United Arab Emirates, under the direction of the Dubai ruler, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, this Dubai, I'm going back to Metaverse, but the Dubai Metaverse strategy was launched, and the economic tie is effectively supposed to represent 1% of the GDP of Dubai by 2030. Now, let me come back to, the issues that are inherent. The issues that are inherent is rapid adoption in comparison to the workforce being ready to actually defend with knowledge, with techniques and tools. So this takes an investment. So you've got economic risk in terms of being able to invest in these industries, but not be able to protect the investment. You've got the workforce readiness issue. So there's a lot of different issues that need to be addressed. And I think that Dubai is focused on that. And that is why this Dubai Metaverse strategy, that's why we're big on blockchain. That's why we're big on these innovative industries. And we're putting committees in place to address these various issues across a multitude of different threat vectors.
Yeah. Go ahead, Wendy.
Yeah, so the reason why I was asking you about the metaverse and so on is because the concept is so new for normal people that it's hard to understand, for example, the risk involved with data, right? Because before we have Facebook that have our data, but they do whatever they want to. And now that in some sense, the information is going to be in our hands because we are going to have like the digital personality or our digital identity. I think there is also another problem there because maybe now it's in my hands, but if I click somewhere that is wrong or whatever, it's going to put in risk my personal data that we have seen so many scams, right? So the question is, how normal people can protect themselves in your point of view? What will be like the biggest advice for someone that is getting into the metaverse that don't know anything about security and so on?
Well, we always try to focus on who our audience is. Okay, so I have an audience of youth. So the young people are already doing what they can in terms of configuration, learning, coding, contributing to the ecosystem of innovation, and they will join the metaverse blockchain crypto community at some point in time. But it's about us investing as a nation or as a country so that we put investments into the youth. The next piece is our corporate executives. Our corporate executives have at their fingertips a budget that they can allocate to train the executives, the C-suites, because the top-down approach is important, but so is the bottom-up approach. So we need to have more budget allocations to training, more budget allocations for training that focuses on security. Once we move and transition or adopt these new technology and integrate them into our business ecosystem. So there's going to be people who are going to be investors. They need to focus on the training aspects. There'll be users who will actually be a part of the ecosystem to use the actual technology. But the real foundation of anything is education. And I think that we have the opportunity, depending on what our position is, to either invest, to either put time in terms of investment, put money in terms of investment, so that we can fund the next generation of tech, but also make sure we've got allocated budgets to ensure that our personnel are trained adequately to join the workforce and defend our digital ecosystem.
Out of all the applications that are for your technology, Adam, what is the application or the industry where your products you think have had better traction, are moving faster? Is there any specific application industry that you want to highlight?
Well, I think let me just talk a little bit about Dubai. From the Dubai side, one of the big initiatives was tied to sustainable goals in the United Nations. And we, as a nation, if you will, decided to go paperless. And to do paperless in terms of the initiative and be able to accomplish that objective, blockchain technology has been a big contributor to that. And that reduces the footprint in terms of carbon. That produces a lot of sustainable benefits for the nation. And then effectively, there has been some tie-in with carbon trading as well. So that's just an innovative response based on Dubai looking at the overall benefit of adopting technology like blockchain, adopting technology that will have a benefit toward reducing even the paper footprint. So that's one example. Now we're talking about metaverse in terms of fashion. And we as a company have invested in a fashion company that is on the metaverse. And what they do is they showcase through the VR technology their fashion and what they're able to showcase. And this is accessible anywhere around the world. And we have hundreds of different use cases that are being onboarded. But I think the paperless is important from a sustainability alignment goal perspective as a nation. I would say from the entertainment and fashion business, that's a big industry in Dubai. And then we have other aspects such as financial services and how we are contributing to supporting that digital transformation effort through the adoption of blockchain technology and being able to be decentralized as well. So again, I think depending on the industry, and in my world, there's 16 critical infrastructure sectors, and there will be hundreds, if not thousands of use cases that blockchain will serve in terms of providing multitude of benefits for. But it's really about connectivity, speed, transparency, and accountability, as well as security.
Yeah. Wendy, do you have another question, Wendy?
No, at the moment, no.
Well, yeah, one of the things that you're mentioning, Adam, and I think it's, it caught my attention from what you mentioned is the paperless piece, because, I've been in this industry for a little bit more, for around 32 years, ever since January 1990, when I left college and I started to work with tech companies. And, we've been pursuing paperless for, in the 90s, it was kind of like a big thing about, with the internet, you will go paperless and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think that we still have a lot of companies that are very traditional and handle a lot of paper. So those kind of things, we tend to forget that, they haven't been achieved. Banks in Latin America, they still go a lot by, you need this paper and that piece of paper needs to move from this department to this other department. So it's really cool what you said.
So now,
yes, go ahead, Adam, please.
I would say it's a very unique use case, and oftentimes from a governing perspective, we look at ways to move toward objectives like sustainability goals, and this is a big victory. How many nations have gone paperless? And it may not seem like a big benefit to some groups and segments, but for sure, if you are the first to reduce the paper footprint, you're saving trees. You're contributing to the ecosystem of the green environment. It has so many verticals of benefit overall, and to be the first person to do that, because we've been so reliant on this particular commodity for a long period of time, that this will change the way we record documents. It will change the way we reduce our footprint. And I think it's a very interesting use case.
Yeah, of course. And how do you see the space going in we, of course, right now there's a lot of concern in the Web3 space about, a lot of companies kind of like going bankrupt because of the crypto winter and so on and so forth. But we also see some other companies emerging stronger. So how do you see the space evolving in this year and perhaps next year as things start to move a little bit up?
Well, I would say thank you to the leaders of the United Arab Emirates, because we have, in fact, contributed to committing a large part of resources to really adopt the technology, to invest in the technology. So the crypto side is a problem with all the different concerns globally in terms of the anti-money laundering efforts that are happening. So there's a big crackdown on the crypto community, especially following the FTX scenario that happened. So I think that crypto will eventually will reach its endpoint. And I may not be 100% cease and be done, but I do believe that people are reluctant now to invest in crypto. But now the metaverse piece is more important, because now it will replace, in terms of the competitor industry, let's say crypto was the competitor, even though they were in parallel moving forward, metaverse will now supersede and become of faster adoption, primarily because of what the use cases and the benefits are. So I think metaverse will integrate into the 16 verticals. We will have entertainment, we will have concerts, we will have meetings, we'll have virtual offices, we will have the map out of space and different verticals that we've not even thought about. So I think when you can gamify and create an environment for humans to involve themselves in a virtual environment and be free to do whatever they like to do in a compliant fashion, of course, then you have the realm of the the possible. Anything is possible in this realm. And when you tie economic opportunity to it, I think we're going to see a very interesting evolution, but really built on the main factor here, which is to be more accessible as a race across multiple geographies. And then we will see a lot of transactions happening. We'll have digital avatars, we'll have artificial intelligence, and then it will be autonomous and automated that our digital entities will in fact interact while we are not actually overseeing those particular activities. So I do see that as an evolution, as we have our identity here in this domain, but the digital entity will soon begin to automate transactions, engage based on profile designs. So I do see a much more rapid adoption, and it will be very innovative in the coming future.
Yeah, now I have a question that is a little bit different, and it's on the sense of all the layoffs that have been announced by US-based tech companies like Google, like Amazon, Microsoft, that are laying off people. Do you see this as the sign of tech slowdown, or do you see this as the sign of also other parts of the world like Dubai becoming more important and grabbing a chair on the tech development of the world, and therefore, you know, those jobs not necessarily coming back to the US anytime soon?
Well, you know, the good news is, as a former leader in the community, I did serve in some political capacities, so I understand the government in terms of how these budgets are allocated, how these initiatives are adopted, how legislation is introduced. I will say this: the great power competition is really dependent on how technologically advanced a nation is today. We're removing from the battlefield and replacing them with drones. You know, so again, it's all about technology at the end of the day. But the United States will continue to compete. We have DARPA, we've got DIU, we've got S&T from Department of Homeland Security, S&T Science and Technology. But really, what's happening is we're seeing the competition, and we're seeing who's successful in the competition. So we know the United Arab Emirates is competing very well. It's being showcased even in the architecture, in the environment, even in the planning, the smart cities conversations. We're seeing that more rapid. We're seeing it more visible here in the Middle East. And I will say, even in Saudi Arabia with NEOM and the Line project, we are not seeing those type of developments in the United States. And as an American, I can say it is time for us to be more competitive, but it's more visible in these particular parts of the world, this innovative adoption and this strategy to move fast and reduce the red tape to make sure the Emirates or even countries in the Middle East are the technology hubs of the center of the world.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think that, you know, from all of us outside of the UAE, we can see that the UAE has a remarkable Web3 strategy, right? It's probably the most cohesive and coherent strategy in any place around the world. So there are some places that have manifested that they want to do it, but most countries don't really have a national strategy that involves policy, that involves actually putting skin in the game and putting resources and moving the policy. So it really supports the Web3 blockchain entrepreneurs like the UAE is doing. Now, how do you see all of this evolving into the future? What do you see the plans for both your company as well as for how do you see the space evolving?
Well, you know, we've got 6 companies, essentially, about to have 7 companies under the holding. And what we've done is we've been an enabler, and we've got an investment management firm, an investment sourcing firm called Leo Investment. So we are heavily involved in engaging these startups, these mid-sized and large companies with the adoption of policies, advising them on entering the region from a foreign direct investment perspective, and giving them the operational advisory in terms of engaging government, engaging private sector, so that they are aligned with the strategy of the United Arab Emirates. Now, from a future innovation perspective, we've got a Future Innovation Summit, which we've hosted here in Dubai for, we've done 3 summits. We've topped at each summit anywhere between 1,500 to 3,000 attendees at VIP level, and we've done very well. We've integrated NASA. We've integrated the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. We've integrated public-private sector across different geographies, and we've provided an opportunity and a platform for players to enter the region on a platform, share their experience, network, talk about investments, do their joint ventures. So we are a key enabler in the United Arab Emirates and around the world to provide a platform for technology. And our summit focused on smart cities. It focused on space. It focused on Metaverse and Web 3.0. And we hosted some of the biggest companies in the region and some of the larger organizations that are offshore that came into the UAE to showcase their capabilities and really mingle and mix different ideas to produce new solutions and to integrate into a conversation that is at the very beginning, but yet we are the ones enabling the conversation rapidly.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Even on the event side, how the events in Dubai are more advanced, and people are going there with specific business needs in mind. So it's not just kind of like a big party, right? It's people are really focused on making this happen and are building in this space. So it's really exciting to see everything that is going on in Dubai. What would be your advice for young people that are considering coming into the space? What would you recommend to them to do to be successful building?
Well, I would say that every environment is challenging, and understanding the market is very important. Making sure in the Middle East, as you enter, you have a partner. If you don't have a partner, you have the ability to deploy your capital strategically. And you need people who understand the environment. You need people who understand the laws of the UAE from an employee perspective, from an investor perspective, even from a golden visa perspective, from a media perspective, from a customs perspective. So having the right partner is essential in terms of entering the Middle East, especially in the United Arab Emirates. And you've got so many different ways to partner in joint ventures, ways to work with private offices of the royal families across the Emirates, whether it be Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Ras Al Khaimah. So I would say that the most important thing is to pair with the right organization and make sure that you shop around. So you have an alternative of analysis and not just commit to one or the first organization or person you engage with. And I would say be patient and strategic at the same time, because it does not happen overnight. Success in the region, but there, I would say, needs to be at least a representative in the region representing you. And you need to spend time face to face, understand the culture is still very traditional. Business is done differently here, very different in the West than it is in the East. So I think, being able to pair with the right partner, number one, having some bridge capital to invest for market entry. 3, making sure you're well studied and open to new ideas. And then make sure your selection criteria for partners is extremely stringent based on a very enhanced due diligence. And then from there, you've got the base starting point to make some informed decisions. But I would say invest the time, spend 6 months in the United Arab Emirates. That may not be the best, sexiest scenario, but again, I think that if you do the time in the region, you will see the benefit and you will be a part of the ecosystem.
All right. No, yeah, that's great advice. And, for people coming into the UAE, Wendy, do you have any questions? We're probably in the last few minutes of the conversation. Great conversation, by the way.
Great conversation. That's what, and I have so many questions. I think you have asked them all. So thank you so much, Adam.
Adam, do you want to leave us with some final comments on your side?
Yeah, sure. Well, if we're speaking to the innovators, I will say, be bold. I think the most important leaders in the innovative space have been bold. Their ideas have maybe been rejected at the beginning, but if it's an idea that you believe in, champion it, stick by it, and it will produce results. It may take time, but it will produce a result, and it will contribute to a new vertical. And the goal is to innovate at all cost and not back down from the challenges, because this technology will save lives or improve lives and help the economy. So we need to champion those particular issues. And then lastly, our chairman, Adnan Al-Nourani, he actually had a quote that he wanted me to share with everybody, and it is lead by proof and move by mood. So that's a quote that he's championed, and I also stand with that quote, but lead by proof, move by mood. So I'll leave that with you all. And I just will say, really appreciate the economies out there that are continuing to contribute to the global innovative ecosystem. And we really welcome you all to the United Arab Emirates and look forward to working with you all in the near future. But God bless you all in 2023, you and your families.
Yeah, and since you mentioned a lot of things about moving to Dubai and all of that, maybe if you can give us some ways to contact either you or your company that, for people interested in coming to Dubai, you will be very happy to put them on the show notes.
Sure. Okay. Well, I will say the email is info@dfisx.com. We've got several websites, but I will tell you what the main website is that would interest you all in terms of investment, which is the www.leo, which is LEO invest, which is invest.ae. And you can reach us there, and our lines are open. We're a 24/7 shop, at least some of us. So we're happy to support you all with anything that you need, from business setup to events to connections with VIPs, members of the royal family. We're very well versed across the Emirates, and we're happy to welcome you all to the UAE.
Well, thank you very much. That's
we have
awesome.
To go, Ricardo.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Adam. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Wendy.
Thank you so much. Let me stop.
We invite you to join the Metatech experts community on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Discord.